Hi, this is Persinger. Thank you very much for watching my videos. I really do deeply appreciate it. This particular video is about a holster that I've been asked about many times because it's shown up in sort of the background of several videos that I've done, and that's the Blackhawk Serpa Level 3 duty holster. Now, duty holsters traditionally have been worn by police officers, security officers, military, police, and so on. But now, with more and more states having open carry available, those kind of holsters are starting to become a little bit more popular with people who like to carry openly, which is certainly their right. And it's important that they also, if they're going to carry openly where people can see it and actually grab a hold of the gun, by surprise, want to consider what law enforcement and security and military folks have been considering for a long time, and that is the bad guy sees my gun and may try to get it when I'm not paying attention. I like this particular holster because it's very simple to operate for somebody who is used to a thumb snap type holster. Because as I get my grip on the gun, I naturally defeat the hood, which is that part that rolls over the top of the hammer or the top of the rear of the slide on the pistol. It naturally clicks off as I get a grip on my pistol, and then I've always been trained to maintain my index finger along the slide, so it just falls there naturally, which defeats the other piece of retention, and the gun comes right out. So as I draw the weapon, it comes out naturally, and I don't really have to think about using this holster, because the way I was trained, it's intuitive. I just reach over there and pull the gun out. I don't even think about defeating the different levels of retention. So because it's natural for me, I prefer it. I don't have to retrain. That doesn't mean that if I bought a different holster, I couldn't retrain myself to do it. But, why do that if I can find a holster that works perfectly to begin with? And this one does. I mean, as you can see, get the gun out, I don't even have to think about it. Now, there's some other things about the holster that I like other than the fact that it just naturally works for me. So here's what they are. You'll notice I've got a kind of a standard, generic, vanilla level 3 vest on. And the reason I put this on is because if you're in law enforcement, you're wearing probably some sort of armor under your uniform. This is an under the uniform, under the shirt type carrier. You can also have a carrier that's on the outside, but it also, one way or the other, inside or outside, it tends to create some bulk there, particularly if you're wearing a level 3A vest like this one. It's a little bulky. They're getting better where they're not so bulky, but they're still a little bulky. And you want to be able to make sure that the equipment on your Batman belt, whatever you've got on your duty belt, is available to you, and that this extra bulk is not getting in the way. Now, if you're not a police officer or security officer and you're considering open carrying, you also want to consider where you live. If you're living in a climate where you're going to be wearing a heavy jacket or a coat on a regular basis, again, that adds bulk, and you want to make sure the holster is positioned in such a way that your jacket or whatever clothing or your armor, if you're wearing it, is not going to get in the way of drawing the gun. I put this on just to simulate that for you so that you could see that the way this holster is designed, it drops a little bit low, and I like that because I'm tall, my arms are long, and it gives me an ability to get on the holster and get on the gun pretty quickly, but it also pulls it away from my vest. You'll also notice that the gun is pulled away from my belt, so the holster is very firm, and it pulls the gun away from my belt a little bit, which means it doesn't tilt in. A lot of holsters kind of want to tilt in when you sit down or tilt in when you walk or whatever, and now you're having to grab the gun at this goofy angle, whereas this holster keeps the gun in that solid position away from my body a little bit, gives me plenty of room to reach over there and get it with my hand and draw the gun. So that's one thing I like about it a lot. I also like the fact that I can change the angle. I happen to like straight up and down. A lot of guys don't. Sometimes they want it angled forward a little bit. Sometimes they want it angled back a little bit. I've talked to many a police officer who wants to angle that gun a specific way because of the way their body is built. And you and I are no different. I happen to like it this way, but it does give you a lot of flexibility. Now, here's another key thing for me, and that is having had to wrestle with bad guys a number of times in my life. If you draw the gun and then realize that's not the tool that you want, but the gun is out, the nice thing about this holster, unlike some others, is that the hood will not close unless you hit the thumb button and close it intentionally. So it's not gonna close up on you so that you can't get your gun back in your holster. So you won't lock yourself out of your own holster and then have to go get it to put the gun back while you're fending some guy off of you. You can just put the gun back in and forget about it, because once it's in there, it's at a level 2 level of retention. It just grabs the gun automatically. Now, other holsters do that too, so that's not unique here. But the nice part about it is I don't have to worry about closing the hood to make it a level 3. All I have to do is put the gun back in while I'm busy doing what I'm doing, and I know I've at least got level 2 retention. So if somebody's trying to get it from me, there's an opportunity for me to drive my hand over the top of theirs or reach over here and get it, however I'm going to do it, to put pressure on that gun and hold it down and make sure that that gun stays there. Now that's the difference between law enforcement, security, military, and citizens who are carrying openly. Law enforcement, security folks, they're trained to retain that weapon. They take weapons retention training. They know to lock that hand down over the top. They know if they're carrying, one of the things I do love about the Safariland holster that is not present here is there's actually a hood that kind of bends over. You can bend it over on top of the release mechanisms and it'll pinch down over there, and then it's impossible for somebody to get in there and get your pistol. So that's kind of a neat feature there that this one doesn't have. But the truth is, no matter how you do it, we're trained to do this. Citizens aren't always, so it's very important as a citizen that you have some sort of retention on your holster. You may not have the training to retain it yourself, so it's good to examine these kinds of things. So anyway, there's some things I like about the holster. It's simple for me to use because I naturally just reach and get the gun, and it just works automatically for me. I don't even have to think about it, and that's why I went out and bought one immediately, and I've used it for a number of years now. And when we had the security company, I used it periodically when I was working with dog handlers or whatever for explosive searches or narcotic searches or whatever. So I've come to find that it's very reliable, and I really like it a lot. Now we're going to go out and look at some cars here in a minute, but before we do, I do want to address one thing, and that is I've read many times that people have talked about the finger release on the side of the holster getting jammed up when you get it dirty, or if you're crawling around in the mud or you're in the snow or whatever the case might be. Okay, well, this is why I don't worry about it, and I've never had a problem with it. One, I keep my equipment clean, and two, I don't dive into the snow wearing this holster. I don't crawl around in the mud wearing this holster. And so because I don't do those kind of things, that's not the environment in which I live, I don't worry about it. And just so that you know, I've had the holster for several years now. I think I got it at SHOT Show about 3 or 4 years ago, and or bought it right after SHOT Show rather. I've never had a problem with it. It's always worked perfectly for me. So the other experiences are from other folks, but I just wanted you to know that it worked perfectly for me. Now, one of the things you want to consider when you're buying a holster is the environment you're going to be in. So we're going to go take a look at that, and I'll be right back. So one of the reasons I wanted to show you cars is because whenever you're thinking about having a holster, whether it's a duty holster like the one I'm reviewing today, or it's a concealed carry holster, you want to consider how are you going to use it, and where are you going to be, and what positions are you going to be in. Now, in the case of a duty holster like this, this Serpa Level 3, you're going to be in a security type patrol car or a police car or something along those lines. This is a police car that's being retired, and so as a result, some of the stuff is out of it now, and it gives us a little bit more ability to show you some things because the center console has been removed, and the computer has been removed, and some of the electronics has been removed. There's still a light package in it, and there's still the dog cage in the back for the canine, and all of that stuff really limits the amount of space a police officer has inside a patrol car, and that makes it difficult to determine, you know, what gear should I have or shouldn't I have that I can actually access while I'm in my car if I need to. And then you also have things like the seatbelt, which I got to put on. You got to get the seatbelt on, and you got to get it around the holster and so on. And when you're in a police car like this one, this is a Crown Victoria, they're a little bit larger and there's a little bit more room in them. But then you start getting into things that are smaller and smaller police cars like the Chargers and those kind of things. And we're going to show you a smaller car, Challenger, here in just a couple minutes. You'll find that the real estate gets tighter and tighter and tighter. So one of the reasons I like this particular holster is the way it seems to sit when I'm in a car like this. I can still reach down if I pull myself forward and I can access the pistol. So if somebody's trying to hurt me while I'm on patrol, while I'm in the car, I still have the ability very simply to pull myself forward with the steering wheel and I can get the gun out. And it comes out very nice and smoothly if I have to do that from inside the car. Now, as I said, when you start adding electronics and other things, that can interfere with that. And so whatever holster you want to choose, you want to make sure that it's something that allows you access to your firearm while you're in the vehicle. And then there's other considerations. Does it poke you? Does it prod you? And so on. And part of that is going to be the way the car is designed. You're going to discover when you start getting into newer cars and you have wraparound kind of bucket seats, that makes it more difficult to get all that gear in there. And law enforcement security officers have a lot of gear. The other thing too is that even though police cars are getting smaller, security cars are smaller yet. I mean, they're generally driving very, very small compact cars. They may not have all the electronics, but the car is so much smaller that makes it difficult too. Anyway, let's go check out another one. We'll go check out the Charger or Challenger, one of the two, next. Be right with you. As we go from the Crown Victoria to something like a Dodge Challenger or Dodge Charger, you're talking about a little bit smaller car, but also a more modern car. And as a result, they tend to be tighter, they're sportier, and they want to cram you in a nicer, tighter spot. So it's that whole design that wants you to feel cocooned into the car. And if it's your personal car, like this one is, this is not a law enforcement vehicle, then that's all fine and dandy until you start putting on a lot of gear. And even with a concealment holster, as I drive this car, I can tell you I have a couple of concealment holsters that are just horribly uncomfortable because the seat wraps around. They really are more bucket style seats. So with a duty holster like this Serpa or any other duty holster, I'm finding it difficult to get comfortable because it's poking me on the side, and it's stuck up against the seat, up against that wraparound part of the seat. And as I try to put on the seat belt, if I can get it, it becomes fairly challenging to get the seat belt in. I did. Now, here comes the difficult part, and that is I'm in this car and maybe this is my patrol vehicle or something and I got to get to my weapon. I'm really going to have to be aggressive about grabbing that steering wheel, pulling myself forward to free the holster up and then getting the weapon out. Now, fortunately, this Serpa is so easy to manipulate and easy to manage that I can easily do it. But I have found that with the smaller cars, I got to pull myself up more forcefully with the steering wheel. But I can actually get to it because, as I showed you earlier, it separates from the belt a little bit, gives me some room away from my vest and the other bulky stuff I got, and also positions that gun straight up and down or whatever angle I set it on in such a way that all I have to do is grip it. That releases the hood on the top, and then place my index finger where it needs to be along the slide in my mind, and I've released the other part of the holster. And all I have to do is get up, and the gun is already out, and I'm ready to go. So even in a smaller car like this, it still works. I hope that helped you a little bit in just learning a bit more about this particular holster, the Blackhawk Serpa Level 3, which I really like. And I wanted to give it a great review. I've never had any problem with it, and I thought you might want to check it out. But also, just in figuring out how to select a holster on your own. You may not like this particular brand, you might like another one. But for sure, check out the environments you're normally going to be in. Standing, sitting, walking, driving, wherever you happen to be. Make sure that first the holster is comfortable for you, or as comfortable as it can be. Truthfully, duty-style holsters are not comfortable all the time. And frankly, when you're carrying a duty-sized gun, it's not going to be comfortable all the time. I've carried a gun for about 38 years or 37 years or something, and I can tell you there's many an uncomfortable moment buried in there somewhere. But you can try to get it as comfortable as you may, given the surroundings that you're in. And the more you check out holsters and try those surroundings, the more likely you are to find what's most comfortable for you. I also, by the way, when I buy clothes or when I decide to buy a car, I go sit in it with the gun I'm going to carry and make sure it doesn't poke me or prod me so I don't find myself uncomfortable driving everywhere I go. So that is one of the selection criteria you might want to consider as you go forward in your life of making sure that you're armed so you can defend yourself and your family. Anyway, thank you very much for watching my videos. I really do deeply appreciate it. It's because of you that the channel is growing like it is, and we are growing like a weed. I'm very grateful that you're helping us do that. Please like, subscribe. There's a nice little button up here for you to do that. That way we can remind you when new videos are coming your way. We do new ones every week. I also have some buttons over here that'll help you find the Facebook page, the Twitter page, and the blog, where as I have time, which my schedule is crazy, but I try to write some columns every once in a while, articles every once in a while for you, so that if you check out the blog, you might find them there. Also, we do try to keep you up to date on political things and legal things and that kind of stuff as much as we can on the Facebook and Twitter page, so please do check them out. Now, if you watch gun videos and you like them and you're not a member of the National Rifle Association, in my humble opinion, You should be. And so I'm going to put a link right here so that you can do that. It'll take you to a spot on our website where you can sign up for the NRA for a year, and it will save you some money. I love a deal, and this is a deal. It will save you some money and allow you to join the NRA for 1 year for less than the cost of 1 box of ammunition. The NRA is fighting things nationally as well as locally, and it's the most powerful gun organization in the country. They're doing some great work. Now, I realize in California, it doesn't seem like they're doing that much. They really are. But what's important in other states is also important for us here in California. It's important for us to support the NRA nationally as well as local organizations too. So I urge you to join. You can do it by clicking this link right here. Also, if you happen to have a gun for home defense, or you carry a gun like I do every day and you think you might ever have to use it, you're going to want to have some legal backup afterwards so that you don't find yourself in prison or sued into absolute, poverty, which can easily happen in any state that you're in, and does happen more often than not. I use a service called Second Call Defense. I've researched them all, and it's the one that I use because it's the one I found to be the most effective. I like the fact that it's not an insurance policy, it's a foundation, so they don't wait until I've spent everything I own trying to defend myself so that they can reimburse me. Instead, Second Call Defense fronts that money to bail me out of jail, to get an attorney for me on the phone immediately in the middle of the night, to hire an attorney for me and provide the attorney with a sizable retainer so they want to work for me and protect me in civil cases and criminal cases. That's just some of the things that Second Call Defense does for a very small monthly fee. We use them in our family. That's why I'm suggesting them for yours. Please check it out. You'll find the link right here. Thank you again for watching my channel and my videos. I really do deeply appreciate the fact that you do. And I hope you have a wonderful week, and above all, be safe.